All right, so this video we're going to talk about how to stay motivated in terms of painting and to paint more often and to keep motivated, not lose interest, and not go long periods of time without painting. Welcome to Paint Talk, the weekly show where I talk and pretty much just give my opinions on oil painting. If you're new to the channel, my name is Chris Fornatero, and I'm here to help simplify oil painting so that you can get better faster. All right, staying motivated. Let's jump on in. Now, the first and probably the most easy way to stay motivated, I pretty much do this every day, is I look at other people's artwork. Today with online, Instagram, Facebook, and all this stuff, it is extremely easy to see very good work. I look at work, I'm like, wow, I don't understand how people can be that good. And it motivates me to want to try and get that good. And I remember a time when if I looked at my work now, I'd be like, wow, like how can you get to be that good? And now I am that good, but now I've raised my bar even more. And I look at other painters, I'm like, wow, how can you possibly be that good? And so I'm striving to get there. Now, another helpful thing that you can do that's kind of linked to this is get involved in some sort of painting community. There are plenty of places online that you can do this. One example is my Patreon. All of my patrons get access to my private Facebook group where they can post their work, give advice, get advice. They're just surrounded by a bunch of people trying to do the same thing. My Patreon is not the only place that you can do this. There are endless oil painting instructors out there online, and most of them do have some sort of community, whether it's a Facebook group or something else for you to share your work. I feel like as painters, it's very easy to just kind of lock yourself in your studio and paint. And that is good in a sense in terms of practicing. But there's definitely something to be said about interacting with other people doing what you're doing. And if you're seeing other people paint and producing paintings, it's going to want to make you do that as well. You're going to want to be doing what your peers are doing. And, it's like, oh, if they have time to sit down and paint and do that, then I do too. And it'll keep you motivated to want to keep going. I mean, just having a place that you can show your work once it's done is going to be motivating in itself to want to sit down and complete a painting. All right, another helpful way to stay motivated is have more than one painting going at a time. If you are a person that, takes, a week or so or longer to do a painting, have a couple that you can rotate between because you can get bored of a painting. It can get stale. You can run into problems, not know how to fix them. Sometimes stepping away from them is a good way to fix those mistakes and get a fresh look at it. And when you're away from it, if you're having something else that you can work on and paint, that's the best scenario. Another thing is switching subjects. I get people ask this a lot. They ask like, oh, should I just stick to portraits if I just want to get good at portraits or just landscapes or whatever? And I always say, paint, number one, paint what you want to paint. That's my number one rule. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's, only portraits. I don't care if it's, oh, I only want to paint movie characters. I only want to paint this copyrighted, whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't try and sell it or pawn it off as your own if you're copying something else. But just in terms of practice for yourself, the most important thing is getting reps. And if painting a certain subject is what's going to motivate you to sit down and paint, then paint that. That being said, I think it is very helpful to switch around between subjects. Don't think that you need to stick at one to get better at it. I feel that switching around from different subjects is actually going to make you improve quicker. I do this a lot. Like I'll work portraits for a while and I'll get bored of them. Then I'll go to landscapes for a while. Then I'll come back to portraits. And I feel like whenever I come back from another, I'm fresh and what I'm working on is going to be easier. It's because you're exercising different painting muscles really when you're doing landscapes opposed to portraits. And when you're exercising those, like what you gain, you can bring over back to this other subject matter. And again, just changing up your subject matter keeps you from getting bored, keeps things fresh and interesting. Now, I had a Patreon student ask me, how can I motivate myself to paint more? And one of the first things I said is, find ways to make yourself accountable. There are many different ways that you can do this. Post progress pictures of your paintings while you're working them on social media. That way you've let people know that you're working on a painting. Therefore, you have more of an obligation to finish it because you've shown it in the working stages and they're going to want to see it when it's done. So that's a way that you can do it. There are a ton of painting challenges where you paint something every day. There's contests going all the time on Instagram. If you got commissions is a great way to always be painting. Just whatever you have to do, tell yourself I'm going to paint a painting and post it every single week. And there's a lot of people, although you shouldn't paint to post on Instagram. I'm not saying to paint to just post on Instagram and social media. I'm saying use that as a way to get yourself to paint more. I did this exact same thing about a year or two ago. I was like, I want to try and post a portrait on Instagram, at least 2 or 3 every single week. And I did for a very long time. And you know what happened? I got really good at portraits in that time because I was churning them out. And yeah, I had this other exterior factor kind of motivating me to paint those, but it doesn't matter. In the end, I was painting. And your motivation to sit down and paint is going to change throughout time anyway. So just whatever you have to do to make yourself, set a time. Say this time to this time is my painting time. Just like you would say, like, this time to this time is when I go to the gym. This time is when I go to work. This time to this time is when I walk the dog. Like, just put painting right in there. And, linking back to the earlier thing I said about being involved in some sort of painting community, having other people involved can also hold you accountable to practicing. Now, I've gotten people asking me, like, how do I stay motivated when I'm not painting well, when every single painting that I do turns out horrible and I don't like it? Like, what do I do? That is when you should be motivated the most. Like, when I paint something and it doesn't turn out, like, I can't think of anything else until I fix it or learn what it is I need to learn. Like, sometimes, back when I was waiting tables, I would be working on a painting and I have to go to a restaurant and wait tables, and I would take pictures of my painting. Whenever I could, I would sneak and look at them and just be like, what's wrong, and like be like critiquing it, and I just couldn't get it out of my mind. When I'm working on something, like, that is my main thing, and like, I don't want to stop until I get it right. And I will paint something over and over until I learn and get it right. And if you're in a slump, if, like, kind of no matter what you're painting isn't turning out, that's when you really need to paint even more and get yourself out of that. Don't get down on yourself. You have to honor the effort. I mean, even if your paintings are not turning out well, you have to realize that you are still sitting down and painting and you are getting better. Trust me, you have to get through a lot of bad paintings to get to the good paintings. And trust me, just when you think like, oh, I think I'm getting the hang of this oil painting thing, it's all making sense, I think it's easy now, that's when your next couple paintings are going to be very difficult. You just always want to be pushing yourself to get better. I feel like the better and better I get, the more I realize how much I don't know. And the more I realize I need to practice and I need to get a lot better and I need to really focus and I need to focus on these certain things that are weaknesses and I need to get better. I feel like there's a lot of artists out there that will get to a certain level, maybe they're selling a good amount of their work. They kind of got their own little thing going. They're known for this kind of painting and they'll just do that over and over and over. And they're selling work, which is great. I'm not knocking selling work. That's awesome. But a lot of times they can just plateau there and they don't really push themselves to progress and get better and try new things, which I can't understand. Like, the day that I am not trying to get better and I don't feel like there's a ton more like I need to learn about painting is the day I quit painting, and I don't plan on quitting painting ever. I feel like I will go my whole life and still have 50% more of painting that I need to know. It really is endless what you can learn. So always be putting yourself in a position to taking steps forward. All right, since you made it this far into the video, you're going to get probably the most important piece of motivational advice I can give you, which is don't get in your mind that you aren't a painter or that you're not artistic or you don't have the creative gene. Like, oh, like some people are just born with this creative thing and I don't have it. I never was that great, or, oh, I've just done this as a hobby, as a side. Like, don't put this mystique around painters and artists. It's not real. I honestly don't really believe in talent in terms of artistic ability. I think people just practice a lot. I think people's circumstances in terms of, how and where they grew up and who was around them can be advantages and influences. I mean, both of my parents went to art school. I mean, I'm sure that helped a lot, but at the same time, I have a brother that can't draw a stick figure. So it just takes a lot of practice and repetition to get better. And the only way that you're going to be able to practice enough is if you're really enjoying it and you're really having fun. So that's the most important thing, is just make sure you're always having fun and you're enjoying it. Now, when I say having fun and enjoying it, that doesn't mean that you just have a smile on your face every time you're painting. There's going to be a lot of times when you're painting and you're just going to want to snap your brush and throw your canvas. That's part of it. Like, you need, like, those hard times are what make the good times, the times that a painting turns out that much better. So I'm not talking about, that kind of fun of just it's always enjoyable. Every time I paint, it's just enjoyable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about enjoying the process, enjoying the struggle, enjoying getting better, enjoying critiquing yourself and analyzing yourself and saying, where can I get better? Where can I improve? Having goals, seeing how you want to paint and getting there. You have to believe in yourself. There is no secret artistic creative gene. So just keep practicing and keep having fun. Hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see the full version of this painting video tutorial, is on my Patreon page, which is linked below. Also, when you sign up for my Patreon, you get a $10 coupon to my Foundations of Oil Painting course. As of now, I've had about like 500 people in the course. They're loving it. You know, it's 7 hours of content. I walk you through painting a still life, a landscape, and a portrait. It's not just paint-alongs. It's lectures and exercises breaking down and explaining certain painting methods and techniques in a way that you can understand. All right, and if you want to see what I'm painting on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.